80% of America have told Donald Trump, we don't even want your second term, let alone a third term. Yet Donald Trump still likes to flirt with the idea that he will unconstitutionally run for office or never leave office and try to occupy the White House for a third term. It happened again during this Asian swing that he's doing right now, in which reporters like to troll him by asking him if he's considered running for a third term. I mean, he just recently ran all sorts of AI generated and social media clips with, Trump 2028 hats on it. We have a little something called the 22nd Amendment. I know Donald Trump thinks the Constitution is a doormat, but the American people won't allow it. The American people are already rejecting it, and yet he continues to flirt with it. And he has his other coup plotters like Steve Bannon, fresh out of prison effectively, telling people like The Economist that we have an idea how to work around the 22nd Amendment. Think about this. President of the United States is musing about how to do a workaround around the Constitution to give himself a third term. I've heard all sorts of things, including he could be vice president and then the person who wins could immediately resign. I don't think so. I'm Michael Popok. You're here on Legal AF on Monday. Let's dispel the myth that a third term is possible, shall we, once and for all? Now, Donald Trump likes to promote it because what is the antidote for being a lame duck at the midterms? Because he's going to get shellacked at the midterms. I mean, the polling numbers are horrendous for him right now. He's lost the Hispanic voting bloc that got him elected, the independent voting bloc that got him elected, the young voting bloc that got him elected are all recoiling against his inhumane economic and immigration policies and those against women. So that's a fact. That's why, is it any shock that new polling shows that 80% of America would never want Donald Trump to continue in a third term? But he ran we'll show a couple of pictures here. He ran all sorts of Trump 2028 because he thinks that's an antidote to lame duckness. I'll continue to be relevant if I have a third term. If I scare people into thinking I could have a third term, there's value, political value to that. And he's trying to exploit it. Here's him being interviewed on Air Force One just in the last few hours about the third term and the proposal that I think is being floated that he somehow serve as the vice president, get elected on the ticket, and then the number one step down, which even Donald Trump thinks is quote unquote too cute. Let's run the clips.
Sir, Steve Bannon said in a recent interview that there could be plans for you to be able to run and potentially win a third term in 2028. Is that something you'd be willing to challenge the court to be?
Well, I haven't really thought about it. We have some very good people, as you know. But I have the best poll numbers I've ever had. I mean, I just solved 8 wars and a 9th is coming. I believe Russia, Ukraine will happen. But we just did, we just left, and when you look at the treaty we just did, that was a war that was thousands of people were already shot at the border. And when you look at what we just did, was pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. We got a lot of good credit, and I really have to thank Malaysia for that, because they really, the Prime Minister and everybody really helped get the two countries together. But it was quite a great peace treaty. But that was one of 8, and makes me feel good. I mean, it's millions of people that we saved. I saved the lives of millions of people. That's what's important. Yeah.
Who are the very good people?
They are good people.
You said that for 2028, they're very good people.
Well, we have great people. Well, I don't have to get into that, but we have one of them standing right here. We have JD, obviously. The vice president is great. I think Marco's great. I think, I'm not sure if anybody would run against us. I think if they ever formed a group, it would be unstoppable. I really do. I believe that. I would love to do it. I have my best numbers ever. It's very terrible. I have my best numbers. If you read it, am I not ruling it out? I mean, you'll have to tell me. All I can tell you is that we have a great group of people, which they don't.
Now, look, the 22nd Amendment is elegant in its simplicity. It says that no person shall be elected president more than twice, not 2 consecutive, And now I guess what they're trying to do is trying to distort and reinterpret elected and say, well, if he's on the ticket, he's not, he's vice president, maybe we'll slide him in as president. No, that is not going to work. And think of what they're proposing. They're proposing to defraud the American people. I mean, what are they going to do? Run on a campaign? Hey, Donald Trump's vice president for now, but you know what? J.D. Vance is going to resign on day one and you'll get Donald Trump 3.0. Is that what they're going to tell the American people? And what meat puppet is going to agree to run as the number one and then step down immediately and have his reputation forever destroyed in history? J.D. Vance? Marco Rubio? Who? And you have to vote for this person. The American people would have to vote for this person knowing that he's going to lateral the ball to Donald Trump. Is that how stupid he believes the American people are? That's a rhetorical question. That we're going to allow him. You can say a lot of things about America. Yeah? You can say a lot of things about the political divide that we now find ourselves in, promoted by this president. However, we like process when it comes to our politics. One of the reasons, and there's many, and there's books going to be written about it, have been written about it, why Kamala didn't win is because I believe the Democrats sort of smarted and scrunched their noses over the idea that she would be able to get the presidency without going through a primary process. See, we like process. If she had gone through the primary process, survived the primary process, was the best candidate, we get to see how she'd run her campaign, which is the first sort of test for a candidate, CEO of their own campaign. But we didn't get to see any of that. It's sort of, because of what Biden did and the decision making and the Democratic Party, not even mini primaries, just boom. And we kind of smarted about that. We found that to be un-American, not consistent with our political values and ideals. Well, what do you think the American people and their reaction and the independents and the voting blocs that hate Donald Trump now, if they think he's trying to find a way to stay for a third term in his late 80s? But I don't believe that the reason that Donald Trump is doing this is because he really believes he can get a third term. It's what I said at the top of this particular hot take. It's because it gives him political power to flirt with it in public, to as a counterbalance or counterweight to the lame duck problem that he will have when his party loses at the midterms. Because he doesn't want to be lame duck. He wants to be relevant. His power comes from populism. And so he wants to promote his populist brand by suggesting that he may not be leaving, right? That he may not be going anywhere. Again, I don't believe he thinks that. Let me play the clip from Steve Bannon also. We have the clip as well.
He's going to get a third term. So Trump 28, Trump is going to be president 28, and people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is, but there's a plan. We had longer odds in 16 and longer odds in 24 than we got in 28. And President Trump will be the president of the United States, and the country needs him to be president of the United States. We have to finish what we started. Trump is a vehicle. I know this will drive you guys crazy, but he's a vehicle of divine providence. He's an instrument. He's very imperfect. He's not churchy, not particularly religious, but he's an instrument of divine will. And you can tell this of how he's pulled this off. We need him for at least one more term, right? And he'll get that in 28.
You're not driving me crazy. I'm trying to understand the coherence of the things you've just told me. On the one hand, you've said the Constitution is fit for purpose. Secondly, you've said that President Trump needs another term, even though the 22nd Amendment makes pretty clear that he cannot have another term.
Why does it make that clear?
Because he's on his second term already.
At some point in time, we will make sure we go through, Zanny, and define all those terms.
But you will be undermining the spirit of that amendment, even if you find some way around it.
If the American people, with the mechanisms we have, put Trump back in office, are the American people tearing up the Constitution? Would that be tearing up?
Well,
would the American people be going against the spirit of the Constitution, ma'am?
I think yes, actually, because I
You
think
said
what you will end up with
So you're
is
saying the
a
American people-
populist justification for a quasi-dictatorship.
That's not true at all. Trump
That's
works
what it sounds like.
It's not. Trump is a dictatorship. Did you just see the compromises he had to make on the big beautiful bill? You see the compromises he has to do on everything, on accommodating Zelensky, on what President Trump. President Trump is nothing but a series of negotiations to kind of keep this thing rolling forward, where he's having trade-offs all the time.
But Steve, you've just spent the last 20 minutes telling me we have to smash the other side. There's no room for debate. There's no room for compromise. We must smash them. And now you're telling me this is a negotiation. I mean, that's
No.
I guess that's why it seems to me
on
some
his
kind of
policy.
tension
First
there.
off, the only way President Trump wins in 2028 and continues to stay in office is by the will of the American people. Okay? And the will of the American people is what the Constitution embodies. And so I think we're going to be in good hands there. We need to finish what we started.
Now, Bannon is an interesting guy to be promoting this because he was an unindicted co-conspirator in the DC election interference case against Donald Trump. He was one of the coup plotters at the Willard Hotel in Washington, along with Rudy Giuliani and Michael Flynn, to keep Donald Trump in power after he lost in 2020. He went to jail for refusing to provide Congress with his testimony and documents that were the Jan 6 committee that were investigating what happened. And as of right now, he's now promoting, we have a way to get around this 22nd Amendment. That alone is treasonous. That is treason, what they are talking about. Donald Trump and anybody that's working this through with him, this is treason. This is against the oath of the Constitution. Whether they remember it or not, they took an oath, the president, people in his cabinet, to uphold the Constitution, to defend the Constitution. That includes the 22nd Amendment. And you trying to stay in for personal benefit and power and sheer naked power and aggression is treason. And I think would be an impeachable offense. Because if Donald Trump were to somehow win, somebody step down, this is another good reason we need to make sure that the Democrats, and you vote blue up and down the ticket in the midterms and at 2028. Because the Democrats have to control Congress and have to control the Senate. Because somebody's going to have to move to take him out. You see what MAGA Congress with its 15% approval rating is doing right now. Nothing. They're not even open. They're not even barely even holding pro forma sessions in order to avoid in order to avoid a recess and recess appointments by Donald Trump, because even they're scared of Donald Trump. But we need a strong Democratic leadership running the House and the Senate in case Donald Trump and his minions try one of these treasonous tricks to stay in office. I'll continue to follow it all right here. It's Monday on Legal AF. That means we've got 10 new videos for you. Come over to Legal AF Substack. For $6.77 a month, you can protect and defend Legal AF. And boy, do we need it at this moment. I can't express it. Our First Amendment right to be heard, your First Amendment right to hear us is under attack. Substack, paid membership, become a card-carrying member of Legal AF. And here, hit the subscribe button. No outside investors and no paywall. That's the way you support what we do, and that's what keeps us on the air. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.